Hi there, everybody. It's Rob. I've got a few things before we get to the interview I did with Kyle. Just a few housekeeping items, and then we'll jump in. Okay. First, Kyle and I had a really rollicking and wide-ranging interview, so I've actually cut it into two parts. Tonight, you get to see part one, and then later this week, Thursday, Friday, maybe. If I can get it out by Wednesday, then Wednesday, there'll be part two. All right. So just wanted you to know that. Second, listen, the sound is solid. That said, my video, Kyle's is fine, but my video is ranging from awful to absolute SHIT. What can I say? There's a reason why you should always have a backup video. Anyway, we live, we learn. Third, next week, Jim and I will be back with our live show overanalyzing another Netflix original, Eddie Murphy's Dolomite Is My Name. Really looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to what you think as well. So come join us.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Live from the Rob Christensen Radio Network Satellite Studio, it's Jim and Rob Overanalyze the Movies. Hi there, I'm Rob, co-host of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies, the podcast for movie lovers who love to talk about movies as much as they love to watch them. Tonight, we have a special episode for you, a special pre-recorded treat. I recently had the chance to chat with born and raised Winnipegger Kyle Wong, an indie writer and director born and raised here in Winnipeg, indie writer and director of martial arts infused action dramas, including the award-winning 2016 short film Vendetta. In 2019, Kyle applied his years of hard-won filmmaking experience into producing Jasmine Wong's award-winning short film Date Night. Before we get to the interview itself, I want you to know I've known Kyle for several years now, and I've always admired his commitment to developing his skills as a filmmaker. Here's a quick teaser trailer of for his short film, The Line, and I think it really captures his development over the last decade as a filmmaker. One sec while I cue that up. Now, of course, this came out in 2017, so coming soon is it's come. I think you can actually watch it online, but we'll double check with that with Kyle in a second. Listen, one more thing before we get to the short, or before we get to the interview itself, I want you to know that I also want you to know that I recently had the opportunity to do some aerial cinematography for Kyle's latest project, so I can personally attest to both his professionalism and his commitment to, to running a fun set. Definitely one of my best filmmaking experiences was the brief times I've worked for him. Now, with that ass kissing intro out of the way, here's my interview with with Kyle Wong.
Hey, how's it going?
Kyle, my friend. Pretty good. How are you?
Let's just say I only got at least 4 hours of sleep because I've been working on set. Actually, I was
right.
Yeah, I was just first ADing on a set this past week, and
that's interesting because, like, I mean, you've got I know you primarily through your your creative projects, your filmmaking, but you're
yeah,
also an assistant director, crew member
yeah,
in Winnipeg in the local industry.
yes,
Um,
I am.
Well, and then maybe that's something else we can get to in when we get into the Q&A. Like, yeah,
Definitely.
what the difference is, because, like, from my experience on set, it's like, yeah, they may have director in the title and there's assistant in there, but it's just they're fundamentally, from my impression, two different jobs. But you can speak to that from experience, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's jump in. Hey, so when can we as audience members, we're watching a movie and we think it might be crap, when can we blame the director, Kyle?
Okay, let's see. That's actually a really good question. Okay, all right. So,
Well,
I get,
and I mean, we're at the beginning, so feel free to give us a teaser and we'll develop this further. I mean, I
well,
got a lot of questions for you.
no problem.
Yeah, but go ahead, shoot.
Definitely, like, okay. I always say this when I have when I get really into my interviews that
Mhm.
I will say a lot. I will be real and I will be honest. So I apologize for anyone that will be offended at anything else. So there's going to be a lot of F bombs. So
bring on the F sharps.
Yeah.
And the best part is, like, I guess I could always beep them out, but yeah, we're like I was saying, we're on at 9:30 at night on
Yeah.
a Monday. We're not
Yeah.
really aimed for come on,
No.
kids, let's watch
No.
Jim and Rob go on about their
Definitely.
zombie movies and that. So yeah, you
or
knock
worse,
yourself out.
Or worse, little kids. Little kids do watch my films, and I'm just like, okay, who actually has a child here, and who brought a child here? And then I would ask their parents, okay, you brought your child here. I have to ask permission to the parent. Are you okay with them watching this film? I actually did that for the line one screening, and this woman brought her child. I was like, how old is he? She said he's 11. I was like, okay.
Are you 100% sure?
And I'm just going, okay, has he watched anything violent? He said he watched the Marvel movies. And I went, actually violent. Like, there's like people getting cut up, people getting put through like pure violence in this film. And she was like, but I have to ask your mom, is it okay? And she's like, it's fine. And the kid's like, I'm going, okay, kid, don't let me traumatize you. So going back to the question about, can we blame the director if we see something, if a movie's bad or not? Truthfully, there are like some films that during certain track records, like Michael Bay is one example. We all know that the term Bayhem is very predominant in his film work, like Bad Boys, Transformers. Transformers is a big example of like what we know about Michael Bay, because everything keeps flying at the screen and there's no actual story behind his Bayhem. And that's why I don't really watch Michael Bay.
I'd even say that's kind of a Zack Snyder thing as well. Like a lot of beautifully shot scenes,
exactly.
Some great action, some great moments, but I can't remember. I want to say it's Nerd Writer, another online guy, like where he goes, it's all moments, never scenes, you know, never earned, like never earned moments. Yeah. Okay,
exactly.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
No. That's a prime example, because that's actually what I've been looking into. Here's a real moment. Locally, a lot of filmmakers here just love to shoot shots. They love to shoot shots, not scenes, not characters, just shots of what looks good on the screen. And that's where I'm just like,
Everyone's
watching-
shooting their reel.
exactly, literally shooting the reel. And the term is, I always go like, I always say this, like, there's a lot of local filmmakers, even a lot of other world filmmakers, depending on how good they are, they just love to shoot their load. Literally shooting their reel, but also it looks like they're jerking off on their own shots. I had one friend say to me, she went to like a local film screening for all these guys, and she's like, it's just it was just all of them, just like, there was no story, nothing, and I just went, so it was a big circle jerk, is what you're telling me. It was just everyone go, oh yeah, how you doing? Oh yeah, how you doing?
People
Oh
are
yeah,
showing off. Yeah.
And I personally don't like those type of films, and over like this whole quarantine, I don't want to say, actually I am gonna say it, I have become completely jaded about so many films that has been like being put out, to the point where you don't feel the story, you don't feel the connection to the characters, you don't sympathize with anything, and you just see shots happening and you're just going, what is this? And this is where I actually say that there's 4 things I actually look into locally, which I will get into in a second, that makes the film very bad. So when it comes to big independent, big budgeted movies, it's all cookie cutter, the same thing. Example is Netflix will play the same shit. Lifetime and Hallmark, except Hallmark is more not as diverse, but
but
Lifetime,
like they have a. I think here. Let me. Is when I think of Hallmark, I think of Lifetime, and this alludes to another question I'll ask you later. Something my co-host brought up in our last live stream. Jim brought up in the last live stream. But going to those two, they really do. I think they know their market. You know what, their market is very, white. White women of a certain class in the United States, and I'm not saying that that you can't get Hallmark here. You can,
No.
but I do think they're almost like old school radio soap operas in that. They're like, no, this is what you're gonna do. Like there, I think the director really is a hired gun. Like, would you agree? Like,
yes, I definitely agree that there's a hired gun. Like, we're doing this film, it has to be like this. This is how we're going to do it. And
this is our brand.
This is our brand. And that's exactly from the production company. And a prime example of that is actually the Marvel films. Like, with the exception of James Gunn, who's done Guardians of the Galaxy, and then next thing you know, he is a fan of the comics, but he understands that universe. Whereas every other director that comes and goes, it's usually like, okay, we're getting into this, but at the same time, like, the Russos are good at what they do. The Russo brothers are good at what they do, and so is James Gunn. But when you have all these other directors,
Taika Waititi brought his sensibility, there. Like
But when you have like the certain hit or misses, like Jon Favreau really did a good job bringing into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But when Kenneth Branagh, he was all right with Thor, but of course it was based off of Shakespeare plays. Yeah. That's what it did. And then we don't talk about here.
We'll have to do a whole series on Branagh's adaptations of things that aren't Shakespeare. Because I think there's Artemis Fowl had a lot of criticisms, and some of it. Yeah, and anyway, that may be for a separate thing. But yeah, like there, I think you can kind of say, oh, Kenneth, I know there's a big studio.
Yeah.
But you seem to have a certain take on it,
Exactly. And that's where I try and understand where the standpoint of certain other directors, like the ones that Marvel hires first, and then they say, yeah, this one didn't work. For example, Edgar Wright, a very stylistic and visual comedic director who has really good visuals and yet cares about the story and characters.
Where did he get canned from?
He got canned from Ant-Man. And when you watch Ant-Man, it has the Edgar Wright editing style and fast-paced type of comedy, but it's not Edgar Wright because it was written by Edgar Wright, but it's not Edgar Wright. And that's where it's like, you could see that they tried to keep that sort of same energy, but at the same time, like, we're trying to do something
They
different.
it needs to be more on brand.
Exactly.
You're over here in the Venn diagram. You're just a little too far out.
Exactly.
The only overlap is the title right now. And we need you a little more in. And okay.
Exactly. And same thing with the Star Wars films, like the recent ones where like they replaced the two Lord and Miller.
I want to say go on, continue.
Who directed the Lego movie, and then they were asked to do Solo. Totally got canned because they didn't. Lucasfilm or whoever, Disney, did not want like this weird ending, and then they brought in Ron Howard, and everyone's just like, yeah, it's all right. And I was just like, what's wrong here? What's wrong with these movies? And another prime example is Shane Black's The Predator. Here's the thing. I was very hyped up because Shane Black is really a good writer and a good director. But when it came
and he understands those movies.
Yes.
Like, how did he F up his own reboot?
Exactly.
In a way, like.
And I'm wondering, like, how did you do this? How did you actually fuck up really, like, The Predator, a film that you were in, and you could have made this proper.
And it was of his time, even. And not to say he's made some great films since. I'm pigeonholing him a little, but really the 80s and the early 90s were his
grittiness came out with the nice buddy cop films, and like it really shined. Whereas this, like, it could have been gritty, but no, they actually played up the Shane Black humor a bit more, which we won't talk about Iron Man 3 as much, but really, like, that's also probably because of the studio, because I heard and read that there was actually an alternate cut, which, yes, we'll get into the Snyder Cut ideal, which I don't want to talk about that, goddamn. But they...
I'm sorry, that's my opinion of the Snyder Cut. And all the whack jobs going, we need to see it free.
Exactly.
Oh, you bunch of cultists. Anyway, sorry, man.
Exactly. No, don't worry. Like, because that's a prime example of, like, there's another cut of The Predator out, which apparently there's an entire different third act. And the reason why Edward James Olmos' character is not in it. So they actually had Edward James Olmos in for like 2 scenes and a whole different third act that happened during daytime. And they said, yeah, we got to reshoot all this in night. And you go like, okay, would have been better or worse? We don't know. But at the same time, you just screwed up. And that was probably because of the studio. And whereas, like, that's where I don't think, if the director actually has a pure vision and really embraces his vision and the studio backs it, that's where you know someone actually makes a good film and the studio is behind it.
Or if it's bad, you can say, hello, Kenneth. Or, you know.
Exactly. And because, like, the studio is ultimately thinks about the product and this is our market, but where at the same time is they should actually look at their demographics and really think about, okay, what is this film actually targeted for? Where, like, for me, I have everything pretty much ready, almost ready. That's a little secret, but almost ready with my new film. But at the same time, I'm choosing the right timing and choosing the right dates of when I'm going to release everything, because I don't have a big production. I don't have like a big studio to say, yeah, you have to release it this time. Oh, we have to do this. Like right now during COVID, all the movies like and even studios, Warner Brothers, Disney, Marvel, they had to pull every single film out of this whole year, and they have to backpedal. They had everything planned, but now they're backpedaling because of all this, and we don't know what it's going to be like because COVID, but also the side fact that we don't know if it's going to be good. You really lose a lot of steam wondering why this film is not doing well. Well, you release a release date for this time. We were all excited, but thanks to COVID, this happened. Are we going to see it? We don't know. Oh, we might put it on demand. Oh, well, it's not the same as going to the theater, but at the same time, are we going to get money back from it? Well, let's see how it does.
Well, now let me trying to channel some of our well, as I told you, we have a tiny audience, which I
Yeah.
hope to grow.
No, don't
We'll
worry.
see how it plays out. But channeling our audience for a bit, how much do you think? Yeah, there's certainly, let's say, market demand, and I guess what. Well, we can talk about this in the macro sense and then in
Yeah.
the micro. Maybe let's talk macro first.
Yeah.
I think there are, and a movie that Jim and I looked at a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
even the one we looked at last week, where it's almost are you reading the room? Like there's a timing
Yeah.
thing in the way, especially in the last 10 years, where politically certain things have moved so quickly
Yeah.
where it's like a year I could see kind of a, oh, we'll never be able to release this. Actually, what's that one where they say, oh, you should watch it before you judge it? And myself,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm okay with judging that. It was, oh, it's people, it's the most dangerous game with a political spin.
Oh, The Hunt. It was
Thank
The
you.
Hunt.
The Hunt.
The
Yeah.
Hunt. Okay, I love that movie.
Well, love it or not, like there's one where they're like, oh, like a year can affect the perception of the movie.
Yes, definitely.
Whereas a year ago, and I'm just using The Hunt as oh, we're gonna hold on this,
Mhm.
but how many because of what was going on?
Yeah.
But there's gonna be movies that they'll be comfortable to release today if
Yeah.
there was a market that would actually buy a ticket. But a
Exactly.
year from now, so that's kind of the macro sort of thing. But on the
Definitely.
micro, I want to see Wonder Woman, and yeah, sure, I want to see Tenet,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I really want to see Wonder Woman.
Exactly.
I'm
And
enthusiastic, but if I gotta wait until the fall, I'm probably or even next year. I mean, lots of movies get pushed a
yeah.
year because it's just not ready.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I'll still be enthusiastic about Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
Where have we reached peak Nolan yet?
Yeah.
Because that one even sounds, it's like, oh, for crying out loud, how much work do I have to put in to watch a goddamn movie?
Yeah.
Jesus, Nolan. Sorry,
No, don't
kind of
worry.
went on a tangent there,
No,
but do
no,
you know what I mean? Like
definitely.
that's
And like a prime example is like a couple friends of mine. We watched Midsummer, and everyone said, "Yeah, watch Midsummer. Watch Midsummer. It's a great horror film."
Mhm.
I watched it. It's a daytime horror film, but at the same time, I'm going, "This is boring as fuck." And it's not to say like I didn't. I understand the slow burn horror and the slow burn kind of leading up to the whole thing, but it's a prime example. And they said the theme was, oh, this is how to deal with a toxic relationship. I was like, that's a really shitty theme to explore, but at the same time, this is pretty horrible because you made almost a 3-hour fucking film of just hallucinate drug tripping in fucking Norway or Iceland. I can't even remember, but all I remember was this is weird. This is pretty dumb, and I kept laughing because it was so ridiculous. And everyone says, "Yeah, Hereditary is pretty good because he made that. Ari Aster made that, and now he made Midsummer, and now he's gonna make a 4-hour epic horror comedy." And I'm going, why the fuck would I want to watch 4 hours
comedy.
of 4 hours
Comedy, really?
a horror comedy? A horror comedy is what I heard.
Well, I mean, I get horror comedy.
Mhm.
I'm kind of wondering how anyone could have went Midsummer, like looking at the script and going, you know what? Sure, it's horrific, but people laugh their ass off. That
Yeah,
actually looks like a really disturbing. Myself though, I'm wondering. I didn't see it because I thought, oh, this is too hipster. This is the hipster horror. It should have been a Canadian movie. We've talked
yeah,
about this before, Kyle.
yes,
It should
definitely.
have been a Canadian movie because once again, it's middle class people all angsty about the relationships,
Yeah.
and I okay, now I haven't seen it, but it
No,
struck me
don't
as
worry.
it's like, oh, okay, what sexual hang up does this middle class
Yeah,
character have?
and
And how they got to work through their stuff.
yeah,
Although even more, I have read some analysis where they're reading a lot of like LGBTQ
hmm
subtext, and I'm like, I know, did the director support that reading? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
and
Sorry,
that's
but you were
no,
bored.
no. I was
It wasn't
bored.
even frightening to you.
No, because I just watched it and then I'm just going, okay, there's supposed to be a scary part happening. I don't feel it. It's just you're supposed in horror films you're supposed to feel that dread and tension building. A prime example of that being done well is John Carpenter's The Thing. The reason why I say that is you get the sense of all these characters. They're not shitty characters. They act shitty, but they're you get the sense of each character. Whereas here, you just got a shitty boyfriend. You got who doesn't support his girlfriend, and the side fact that you're like wondering why do I care? Why do I care about these
Middle
characters?
class douchebag behaves
Literally,
badly.
exactly, and that's
Cut
and
to
like
more middle
and
class douchebag behaves badly.
exactly,
But
and
but being a dick, not like uh not like, or well, no, like I mean, yeah, was his behavior like that kind of deserving of the horrific end? Or is it horrific? I mean, in more of a dictionary definition, not like,
I think it was more of like he deserved it, but at the same time, it's like, is it because of this, like his friends, or is it because he really doesn't want to be with his girlfriend? And I'm just like, either way, he's a fucking horrible human being, and he
okay,
deserved to fucking die because, like, in my
okay, well,
personal, in
go
my
ahead, yeah.
personal, in my personal opinion, like, if a guy does not treat his girlfriend properly and just literally emotionally abuses them, and at at worst, they deserve the most horrific thing to happen to them because they are very horrible people to do that to a person that they supposedly love or even care for. I don't respect guys that don't respect their female counterparts or even their significant other or their wives or girlfriends because they really are pretty shitty people.
Yeah, but yes, douchebags are douchebags,
Yeah.
not to be respected. I'm
Mhm.
more like, one of the tough things now, it can be done well. Like, I mean, the essence of tragedy is
Mhm.
okay, we get why
Yeah.
we get why he's suffering, but there's a
Yeah.
part of us kind of going, oh,
There's
you know, the punishment does not quite, the punishment is out of sync with the crime.
yes.
And that's I mean, that's not all of what makes a tragedy.
Yeah.
Whereas yeah, like I mean, now I'm gonna have to watch this goddamn thing. Yeah, get Jim to watch it, and we'll do a show
yeah, and
on
then
it.
we'll all sit together. I'm like, I told you, this is how horrible it is.
Yeah. Well, now here's a question for you though. Like
Yeah.
going back to like the essence of the, like when you look at a Midsummer, I think that's a director's piece.
Yeah.
Like I think of it as like, nope, that's your classic
Yes.
indie,
Indeed, I'm
good,
pouring.
bad, and indifferent.
Yeah.
Everything there was a director's choice. Like it's
Yes.
not.
Like,
Does that jive
I'm
with your
definitely
view of that, or?
here's the thing. That is a prime example of a director's vision, which
Mhm.
I respect. That it sucks that I don't like it like everyone else, but at least he put. Here's what I say. I always say whenever new filmmakers actually ask me, like, how do you go about making film? And I go, okay, you can go through what I call the film school phase, film school just finding out phase, which is you are literally trying to find out how do you make film. I personally did it through making my first web series with my two friends.
JFK, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
not about the president. It was
No,
about my two friends, Jamie, Friz, and Kyle. So that's why it's called JFK.
folks,
And
I'll make sure that there's a link in the description to Kyle's, both his Vimeo channel and his YouTube channel, which has like, I mean, pretty damn near your entire filmography, eh? Like I saw the
yeah,
JFK stuff.
yeah,
You know what? I you know what? Having directed a few of my own short films, it's all about sharing the pain, Kyle.
yeah. Like all I can say is we had to reshoot back in 2015 the season one reboot. That's why it's so out of sync. Is the original the original first 6 episodes was
I
so
didn't watch
horrible.
them all.
Oh, that's all good. Like the fact that I get to talk about it right now with you is that you could see there's some faults in what Jamie Frizz and I wrote and actually acted out, because like that's a prime example of us actually trying to figure out what is the brand of what I'm trying to make. But that's why I always said like JFK was a testing ground to figure out, oh, maybe I could try this as a writing, maybe we could try this as characters, maybe we could try this as a story direction throughout the whole film, the whole series. And the fact that we actually came to making only 23 episodes when we had a 30 episode like listing, literally 30 episode listing, and yet didn't make it because of, sad to say, a breakup. And and the truth was, like, I had to cancel it because I couldn't think about anything else. And this is where
life intervenes, man.
Life intervenes, and I had to reboot season 1 to almost portray that, but it was not enough, I would say, because this is where I say that when new filmmakers say, like, how do you go about writing a script? And when I write a script, I usually write to what I know, but not only that, what I could actually do. Not just, oh, maybe I need this camera, maybe I need this gear. Like, they're thinking about, well, how to make the shots look good, how this is gonna look, right? When they
you
should
write
really
to the constraints. This is the camera I have.
Yeah.
This is the people I know I can get.
Yeah.
I could probably go get that.
And that's what I think about. But but at the same time, I actually write to, this is the type of feeling that I have. Like, this is what I'm feeling right now. So, prime example is Vendetta. We always joked about Vendetta was like about a breakup. And I think finally, not finally, I actually said it before. It is me dealing with a breakup, because I was literally coping with the breakup that happened like a year or two years prior, and I just did not know how to feel about it. But when I wrote it, and finally, like, you could actually see my character just like making this other character feel like that.
One second. Apparently, I have a call.
Oh, we have a caller.
No, we don't have a call. I have a call. My studio is also my little office, and I have a phone right beside me that I've, of course, forgot to turn down.
Oh,
it's on the big chucklehead. You know what? That's the best part of pre-recording these things.
Yeah.
I can edit that out. All right.
All
Anyway,
good.
sorry, man. I
No,
totally interrupted.
All good. Don't worry. So Vendetta was about a breakup that I wrote, and like, to actually finally like say that, not proudly, but that's a prime example of me trying to deal with my breakup, and also like putting what I was feeling into my films. And I remember my favorite lead singer of the band Dope. We actually got to sit down after Vendetta went through its festival run. I went to see a concert with them performing, and there was like this kind of Q&A VIP session where we got to listen to their new album, and we got to sit down with them. And he said that when I write albums now, it used to be about this, which was, since it's a metal band, it's a lot of outer external kind of aggression, but there was like messages behind it. But sometimes it was, and he would say, all the songs are about this. And he's talked about a second album, there was a lot of this. Then the third album was like a lot of this. And then he said, once we got back to our fifth album, it was perfect. And now this new album, there's a lot of this, but there's a lot of this. And I listened to it, and I was like, holy shit, that actually makes sense. And that's where I approach writing now, where as much as I think about the constraints that I have or what I could get, but not think about the shots or anything else, I think about, this is what the character is feeling. I'm putting literally every part of me in my characters to have the actors portray, like, are they feeling sad? Are they feeling happy? Are they feeling judged? Are they feeling conflicted? That comes out into the story, where every character needs to actually tell the story, along with not just exposition or anything else. They actually have to tell the story the way the characters are built.
Would you say then, would you agree I mean, the way I kind of look at character development and a well-told story
Mm.
is, and to part of it, just a little more of an experiment. Uh, Watched Stagecoach the other
Mm.
day, and all of a sudden, I mean, yes, it's a 1939 Western. So,
Yeah.
along with all those characters that get on the coach,
Yeah.
there's this unseen, invisible character called racism. That
Yes.
said, I watch it and I'm going, this is a great movie because every character in there could have been the star of the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone was a a character that had wants and needs. They
Yes.
all had direction. They all had what's the word I'm looking for?
Gro-
Initiative. They
initiative.
were
Yes.
they were never just reacting to what was going on. They all had
No.
a need. There was a reason every person got on that stagecoach.
Exactly.
And the conflicts between each other, revealed character and all that other
Yes.
stuff. But I think that's what you're saying is part of, if you've got a compelling character, part of it is because they have wants and needs. They
Exactly.
have real feelings. There's a love for each character that the
Mhm.
writer that the writers and the director have to kind of go, I think I know where this character's coming from. Now that may not
Exactly.
be now and this maybe this is gets into, because we're a bit into the artistic process. Maybe this is a good time to ask uh, you know another a question I kind of had is, when you have like, what kind of director are you when you think on set? You got people who are like, there's very much the technician director, and that
Yes.
doesn't mean that they can't make great work,
No.
because they're still artists. They still can keep the central vision. But then
Yeah.
you've got the folks who define themselves as, actor directors.
Yeah.
Like, where would you put yourself? I'm not even sure it's a spectrum, but maybe it's
It, it, it,
quadrants. Maybe it's a
it's
quadrilateral.
no. That's
It's the
actually
pentagon or whatever. But where would you place yourself in that?
that's a really good question, because the fact that actually the interesting thing is, just a slight side note. When I was working on set yesterday, everyone asked me, how does it feel to be the first AD? You're moving up. And I was just like, I could say full heartedly, that's not my end goal. My end goal is to be a director. And the side fact that I I had to act in my own stuff, because, like, truth be told, you don't see, yes, you see Asians being portrayed on screen, but you don't see normal looking Asians like me being like the the I would
How
call
would
it
you
like
how would you define that? Like, when you say normal looking Asian.
like just in a sense of, like, you never see like the everyday type of person. I
The Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I like the fact that everyone calls me, even you called me a badass. I'm just like, I don't see myself as a
Uh,
badass. I just do what I do because I'm good at what I do. I don't flaunt
Partly it was such a great that the where that came from. Uh, Partly, yeah. You know what? Let's say let me grow the definition of badass. I
it.
think anyone who can just regularly just kind of get up, put their heart on paper, put it out
Yeah,
there, and you can kind of see. And I totally, having made a couple of my own short films, I get that, that when somebody's referring to early work,
yeah,
but you're willing to put that out there, and you kept developing. It's one of my favorite
yeah,
things about the Line teaser is, it's like, it really does
yeah,
show your growth as a filmmaker. And I think that's a
yeah,
beautiful thing, and kind of a badass thing that you had the guts to do
yeah,
that, to put yourself
yeah,
out there like that. So, but getting back to your quote, normal looking Asian,
yeah,
do you mean it in the a lot of, I mean, it's always tough when,
yeah,
I would imagine. Well, it's always tough. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but I would imagine, trying to put myself in your shoes for a bit there, Kyle. Like, coming from a minority, you're forever kind of, okay, do you meet the majority or everyone else's idea of the stock Asian character? Because if you
It-
don't, would that be the thing you're talking about? Like that
like,
kind of, I'm just a regular schmo who,
yeah,
like, I'm a
it's
regular schmo Asian. That's what I
yeah,
look like. Like so many
yeah,
other Asians, like billions,
yeah,
whereas a
like
lot of the Asian actors look, oh, there's my prototype
yeah, like
Japanese
exactly.
villain or whatever. Does that?
Like not just prototype, like this, like the prototype of like, oh, this guy has a defined feature, like, oh, he has a square jaw, or even like defined look, and they have to look
The
like this. But
stereotype look,
yeah, the
the stock
stereotype look.
character look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and whereas me, I don't try to be a badass in my scenes or any of my films. The reason why I write these characters, if I choose to act in them, is mostly because I choose to act in them because it's not that I don't think anyone could actually portray the character that of the main characters that I know that I could do. It's mostly because of the dedication that is needed to be like their to be going through the training, going through everything to make sure that I could bring like direct the actor to bring this sort of gravitas and depth that I need from the character. Whereas like, okay, there, like one actor actually said to me like, yeah, I'm auditioning, but I'm not going to be there for the training or anything else like that. I'm like, you're auditioning and you're not gonna willing to put in the effort, and you're gonna be gone for like a good half of the shoot. You know what? Why did you audition for
Yeah,
anyway?
why are you here?
So really, it's just
Thanks
more or
so
less.
much for coming out.
Yeah, and I was just like, I thank God I found someone else for this. But
No.
the reason why I choose to act in it is just so that way I understood how to communicate with other actors. Like for example, JFK was, like I said, a testing ground.
Yeah.
I wrote when we first did our first like season, like the original first season, we just improvised everything. Then when we finally started writing, I understood how Jamie and Frizz talked to each other, including to me, and then wrote how they did it. And that developed my writing style of like, okay, this is where I can see this actor or this character speaking, this kind of reaction, this kind of scene playing out within this kind of setting. And this really brought like how the emotions would come out. And that taught me how like, okay, this is how I could organize this. Whereas like the technical side, I don't really think about too much about the cameras or anything else. That's why I have a DOP.
Okay, you're jumping ahead here. Why
sorry.
don't we take these? Because you got like some of your fans, actually sent in some questions
Oh yeah.
that they wanted to ask. So why don't we go through those now?
Okay, no problem.
Let's bang these out one at a time.
Okay.
So Tim, one of your social media followers asked, how often are directors also, I'm assuming, also actors in their films? Now, have you been in, let me ask you this, have you played a role in every film you've directed?
Almost every single one, I would believe. Yeah, just about every single one. But I produced two. Example, Jasmine's, but I didn't have to direct. I didn't have to direct that one. I let Jazz actually play around with what she needed to do.
She was the writer director there, right?
Yeah, and we made sure exactly what needed to happen. Even though I was producing on the side, I was helping her get her vision out there.
Yeah,
and
like a good
doing
producer.
Pent Up, I helped produce that one. And then they said, yeah, we need you to be this guy. I was just like, guys, I don't want to act. I'm just here to make sure that you guys do this. I didn't have to direct it, but
so did you act in hers?
Yes,
while you were producing? Okay.
Yeah.
What, like, just to kind of, I did, like, when I saw this question, I thought it was interesting. I did look up some, like, I mean, of course, off the top of my head, I was thinking, well, Ben Affleck's directed, and like, I mean,
Ben Affleck,
Franco brothers, I think they've both not just directed and acted, but directed and acted in the same movie. But there's like, who else? We're looking at
Quentin Tarantino
in A World.
Yeah.
in a world, which it's got to be one of my favorite little sweetheart slice of life kind of
Mhm.
looking into a weird scene
Yeah,
sort of things. But who else? Jodie Foster, of
Jodie
course, Nia
uh,
Vardalos in a
Quentin
number
Tarantino.
of films, Quentin Tarantino, Ida Lupino,
Yeah,
Julie Delpy. We're thought, all the 2 Days in New York, 2 Days in
yeah.
Paris,
That,
The Countess, et cetera, et cetera. I'm
there-
wondering, like you're correct me if I'm wrong, is it fair to categorize you more as you're a director who acts or are you an actor who directs? Oh, maybe
uh,
here's the question. How many other people's movies have you acted in?
Not too many because, like I said, I'm one of those guys that don't put myself out there because I choose the
You're a
characters.
director who acts.
Yeah, I'm a director who acts, and if I choose a character,
Mhm.
it's mostly not because I want to be a badass. It's mostly like I want to challenge being different, like being a different character. But at the same time, like if I look at the script and they say like, "Yeah, we want you to be this type of character," I'm like, "What's the reasoning for this character?" Like, exactly. What's the want? What's the need? What is the arc of this character?
Yeah.
Why do you want me to be this character? If it's
What?
just to look like a badass, then I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to do it. I really don't
Well, I
want to do it.
think I've acted in all my short films.
Mhm.
I think so. And partly it's just I think half the reason I do it is I'm similar to you as I write to constraint to a degree.
Yes.
I have my constraints in my mind. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, I'll do it. I know what I want.
Yeah.
It's like, I know what I want. Like but it's written for me in my shtick.
Yeah.
Like I really have like, no, I want, and partly it may be that whether it be a small piece of it or a large piece of the work,
Yeah.
that in many respects I am the central opinion of it. So I think
Mhm.
sometimes I've done it just because it's like, no, I know what I'm trying to say with the movie.
Yeah.
And whether I'm saying it comedically, well, it's almost always comedic. But it's like, no, I know exactly what I am trying to say here. I will say it for good and bad.
Yeah.
It's like
Eh,
you look at someone and it's like, oh, Rob, that was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You could have gotten someone to do that. But maybe this leads to the next question.
Actually,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I do actually have something about this too,
Yeah.
because I remember a friend actually told me that there is a group locally here which are like unionized, but they can't get roles because they're just like constantly not being picked. So they decide
Yeah.
to make their own group and make their own shorts, which I say I support. And then next thing you know, they're directing their own shorts while they're in it, and I'm just going, okay. I see a trailer for one, and I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. I watch it. I'm like, okay, that's pretty weird that's credited there, and then this is credited here. What's weird is if it's supposed to be a trailer, and we'll go back to like the previous question, like,
Yeah.
how do you know this is going to be bad, or do we blame this, or do we blame this? Here's what I saw. You have the director's name, main actress being this main actress, director, and writer. And I was like, okay. And then throughout the trailer, it's just showing all this. It's a tonal mess, like tonal mess. Like it's either a thriller or a drama, thriller, drama.
Pick a
And then
genre.
pick a genre. And
Yeah.
then,
And if it's a thriller, chances are it's dramatic.
yeah.
So like, I mean, yeah, do you
And
know what I'm trying to say there? Like when
yeah,
you're yeah, I get what you're saying. Sorry.
yeah.
Continue.
But,
I'm
but
interrupting.
no, don't worry. And in the middle of it, it says the DOP's name. And I'm going, okay, this is why it's shit. Okay, here's the thing. If you're asking a DOP to set up the shots, it's not your movie. And if you're focusing on acting and / directing, and you ask your DOP who only focuses on the shots, it's not your fucking film anymore. It's literally not your film. It's literally the DOP's film showing off his reel.
You know what? I would okay, I'm not 100% sure I agree with you there. I mean that doesn't mean we have to agree. We don't have to convince each other. But let me. My initial reaction there, Kyle. Partly, I'd still say I'd still hold, especially the scenario you're drawing for me. I'm like, it's still the director's fault. I could get a, what's the word I'm looking for? You know what? I would say that the director in this case, let what's the word I'm looking for?
Almost.
They offloaded too much.
Yeah.
But I would say it's like, no, it's your movie. It ain't my fault you contracted out too much.
Yeah.
You made that choice. You chose to and it's not to say I can imagine a world where you could find a DOP and kind of go, listen, you know what? I want to hear all your ideas on blocking.
Yeah.
I am looking for a comedic kind of style. I really just want it straight ahead. Get me solid studio style coverage, and I'll put it together in post. You know what? If we've got to move the camera, if we've got to do anything really arty, you and I are going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, my time is going to be spent with the actors, blocking them, working with them to get the right performance out of it. Does that make sense? Like
Exactly.
I could buy that. But I think, almost like what you're describing there, Kyle, is a director who decided, well, and a director who did not fully commit to the film and to make mistakes on their own, but it's still the director's fault. It is their movie. They're the director. They're the one who let the DOP do that.
Exactly. And
or encourage the DOP to do that, maybe.
It's mostly that, like, it's mostly like that, but at the same time, like, the DOP would like say, yeah, I think it should be like this, whereas like, okay, are you actually collaborating, like, how to tell a story? Where, for example, my DOP, Daryl, and we have this really unspoken language whenever we actually get the script together. We say, this is a shot, and this is why I have Jasmine along with me, working with me, is when we set up a shot, we understand, like, okay, this is what the emotion is. If we have to be in front of camera, like, if I have to be in front of camera, Jasmine's going to make sure that I give the right emotion. If she's in front of camera, I make sure she gets the right emotion. And we're all making sure that the camera movement is right, everything else, but working off the emotion of the scene and the character, but not just, this is a cool shot. This is what we want, what this shot means. For example, this DOP that I'm talking about, he has empty, soulless shots. It can look good, but
the law of thirds is well represented. The lighting was on point.
Yeah, but
a pretty painting with a soulless subject. It's like, wow, you really can paint a chair.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why. Okay,
and that's a prime example, and that's where I feel like, okay, that's where I feel like this film is very soulless, and to have like the director / actor, example me, like. I will admit that I made many faults of like, oh, I wish I acted this better, or I wish this reaction or this conversation would have been better. But I didn't think on that feat. But yet my DOPs like got whatever shot that we needed, and I was like, okay, I could cut around this. This should work, and it worked in one case. But at the same time, that's how I learned. Whereas if you trust the DOP to say, yeah, direct this style for me, and he's just focusing on the shot, but then says, yeah, that looked good, we can move on to the next shot. And when you find out in the edit, it's like, oh, this is pretty bad.
I got nothing. Everything's dead.
Exactly.
Okay, though, but I think, though, that's just, there's a bad director. The bad direction in the idea. Maybe that's, never mind, I'm still here, but we'll, here, let me ask you this, and maybe this is a great segue. This is a perfect segue. Where, as we talk about actor directors, it's Tiffany. Now, I think part of it, she was being perhaps a little tongue-in-cheek, but, especially with their capitalization. But Tiffany's asking you, what don't you do as a director? But I think this is a perfect time to segue to that, Kyle, because it is. There's the director does have to maybe not do everything, but keep an eye on everything. Be that forever defining for every department head. Okay, this is what the movie's about. Your goal here, yes, I'll do my damnedest to make sure you're going to get a good addition to your reel, but it better be about the movie. So anyway, actually, yeah. What don't you do as a director?
Okay, first off,
I'm assuming not. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
no, don't worry. It like definitely one example was in film production class. I could so hardly say this. Like, you should clearly have a vision. If you don't have a vision of what the project is, or even like an attachment of what exactly the characters are, you shouldn't be fucking directing. Honestly, you shouldn't, because we had 10 directors on a film production class of a class of 20 something people, 10 directors, and I was one of them. And I looked at the script, and everyone
What was
praised
that
the script.
for? It was a
It
student
was
thing.
it was U of M film production class back in 2013 that we did this film, and we had 10 directors, and I chose to be the action director, and I did get a couple scenes. And what required me to be an action director was I focus on the action scenes of the film. The problem was about this film was it was a neo-noir based off of the Big Caper.
Why don't you give for those who don't know, they're watching. When you say neo noir, what do you mean? Give us a couple examples of neo noir.
Drive is one. Anything directed by Nicholas Winding Refn in this weird way. Fuck. No. Like that.
Would Blade Runner? I think
Blade Runner
would be a
Blade Runner is
neo-noir, right?
Yeah, Blade Runner is neo-noir. Bound is neo-noir. Like, just noir films in color in a way, but definitely has that still sense of dread.
And interestingly enough, although there's action in them,
yes,
you don't think of them as action. Like, I would not think of Blade Runner or Drive as action films. There's explosions of violence, but they're not. This isn't Die Hard. Okay.
No.
Okay.
And
all right. I'm picking up what you're putting down, man.
Exactly. Okay. And so what happened was they wrote martial arts specific scenes in the script. When I say they, just one writer who everyone praised. I'm like, yeah, he's just jerking off on the script. Thanks. And then I read it. I'm just like, and I look at who our professor casted. I'm going, hey, can you actually throw a kick? Can you actually throw a punch? Can you actually do this? And I'm just going, okay.
Be like me throwing a punch.
Yeah. and at the same time, I'm just like, really? You guys wrote this type of scene for these characters. And that's where, like I said, that's where I chose to write the constraints that I knew. And these everyone just came together to write like most over the top, unnecessary kind of film. And there was one week during our reading week that we were filming in a house, and they wanted to do a splinter unit to film this bar fight scene. And I said to like everyone else, shouldn't we previs this? There's one guy that literally thought he was the visionary of the whole class. Literally said that, yeah, we'll shoot it on the day. I'm like, fuck you. No. I literally took the cast that was for the bar fight scene. I went out and prevised it. And what prevising is, you should have like a visual storyboard of the fight scene, which I always do. I don't like shooting things on the day, or even like, yes, it's good that certain stunt actors and everyone else could pick it up and just do it on the day, but at the same time,
it's like a next level storyboard. There's actual action in it. You may see like a rough idea of the camera moves and that. Okay, go on.
Exactly. Sorry. Because I like to have that on set with me to know exactly this is the shots that we're shooting this fight scene. So we're not wasting time. We're not wasting time or wasting anyone else's time. We have it set up. This is where the camera movement is. This is how the camera operator needs to move on these movements. And we shot the previs while they're having this meeting. We get back in, and that same fucking visionary director says, where were you guys? We were shooting the previs. Oh, let's see it. I was like, it's not edited yet. Oh, let's just see it. And they all started laughing. I was like, and I said to my one friend who had the camera, give me the footage. Took it home, edited it with sound effects, and then put it up into the class group. The first person that said it was great was our professor. Everyone went 180 and said, yeah, it's great, it's great. And I was just like, fuck all of you. You guys said it was shit, even though it was edited. I'm like, fuck that. And then I
It's
went up.
funny when I think of creative stuff, filmmaking,
Yeah.
acting class. Well, okay, no, I shouldn't. Rag on acting classes. Filmmaking classes. Taking a lot of the Olympic Film Group, other places. And whereas actors, a lot of actors come from we got to have a safe space so we can take risks. It's almost like filmmaking's like, well, you're about to go into a business of bullies, so you might as well start bullying each other now.
Yeah.
Like I got to admit, I never, in
It's almost
any kind of group effort, it was always like, all right, who's gonna try and show they're the big,
yeah.
the big dick,
Exactly.
in all the
it's a
negative
so-called
ways,
it's literally called the big dick energy. And I
Yeah.
fucking like say, okay, you want to play this game? Okay, let me show you this. And the fact that that same director literally said to me, like, yeah, if I get the fight scene, I'm gonna change the shots. I was like, no, the reason why for a previs is to actually follow the previs and the fact that it follows the story. You should actually keep true to the story. You shouldn't fucking steer away. That's why you're a so-called director, but you still don't know shit about fucking directing. And the fact that I went to the film technician.
Tell us all how you really feel.
Oh fuck! I was fucking fuming. I was really fucking like telling the story right now and sharing it with all of you right now.
So Tiffany, the short answer to your question is, at least with Kyle, Kyle likes to dive in.
No, since Tiff is,
but let's give Tiffany and everyone else who might go, okay, I want to know, because yeah, some people can't get the impression that the director is doing everything.
Yeah.
Which I think is the opposite of what we're talking about. Kind of like, yeah, you're aware of everything.
Yeah.
But it is a collaborative thing. Like
it is a collaborative thing, and the truth is, like, since Tiff is like is pretty much my little sister, she has been shadowing me. Yeah, pretty much my little sister, and she has been shadowing me. But the fact that she's asking this question is like, what don't you do as a director? And the thing is, never. I quote this. We actually saw this. Me and a friend who were working on a set together right now. We actually said back in like film production class, like, what's with all these people like going for these certain shots or thinking this will be great? Example, a soulless painting, setting up the shot with a soul. So I was like, what is this? A cool shot that they're doing? Never fucking focus on the cool shot. And in our textbook, it said this. Yeah, first-time directors will focus on more of all of this and try and get the cool shot. They should not do this. It said that on like the first page of this textbook, and I was like, it's on the textbook. This is fucking hilarious. And I need to find that textbook because I almost want to throw that at like actual directors that like come to me and just go. I kind of want to focus on this shot. I was like, okay, are you focusing on the story or characters? Focusing on the story and characters to tell your story, or are you focusing on just the shot? I'm just focusing on the camera placement and all this. I was like, okay, you do that after you focus on making the script right. As I state, you want to actually be, as a director, you want to be invested in your story, in your characters, and on top of that, you want to tell the best story. You want to put your own heart into it. If you're just a director for hire and you're just like, this is just paycheck for me and I'm just building my reel, I can respect some people that do that, but at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, good on you.
Once you're making a living in a business, you kind of go, well, I can make art or I can make money, and my banker likes money.
Yeah.
My mortgage is going to get paid with money. Well,
exactly.
let me see if I can capture this. Especially for and so maybe let's flip Tiffany's question on its head. And yeah, we know where Tiffany's coming from, but some people do ask this, do I have to be aware of everything? And I would say, from what I'm hearing from you, Kyle, is that the director's role really is to deeply understand the story, the stakes, the emotions of the like, that's their first role, deeply understand and be committed to the story.
Exactly.
Because that's what they are, a storyteller.
Exactly.
And then be as involved as you need to be in every other aspect of the film so that it is helping tell that story. Like
Exactly.
the guardian of the vision, let's say some have said. So
Exactly.
to go back to
Because
Tiffany's question, could we say, the answer is that you do as much as you need to do to
mhm,
first with the story, middle, well, how is it helping the story? And at the
yeah,
end, is it helping you tell that story, in an
exactly.
emotionally satisfying way? Is that a good
No,
capture for Tiffany?
that is pretty much on point because you don't want to stray away from your vision. You
Hmm.
don't want to stray away from a vision as a director. If you have a script and say someone that has a really good script gave you a script and you want to portray that script, you work with the writer on bringing that vision out. You
Yeah.
want to make sure that I could feel this. Did you mean this in the story? But if you say, oh, I want to rewrite this and feel this, and think it's a big spectacle, and the truth is, as a director, you want to show what you want to see at points too. When I say what you want to see is as an audience member. So the director also has to come at it as an audience member too, to know
Great point.
exactly.
Because that was going to be, oh, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, continue. I'm
No,
cutting you off there.
that's all good. Like the director should want to see his own film too. Like he's literally looking at it as an audience member, going like, okay, that acting. Okay, he would go to the actor and say, I need you to bring this emotion to this scene, while you have to react. While the person that the actor is reacting to has to react differently, just to bring out the scene's proper characterization and emotion in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the director really needs to understand what has to be brought in. Whereas as a director, you don't have to worry about the shots as much, unless you are a good director that really focuses on the shot that really accentuates the emotion and integrity of the scene with the characters. That's fine. Which that's what I do mostly. Is like I think about the shots, I keep it simple. Like I don't need over blown shots of just like, oh, it needs to turn this way, it needs to go this way, it needs to do this, it needs to do this. It has to be just simple, that every subtlety and every character's emotion and just what they do with their hands, what they do with their body. It's just small, subtle, simplistic movements that make the film like this is what needs to happen in the film. And when you watch it, you want to keep your vision to the audience, saying, this is what I'm giving you as an audience member myself. That's what I believe as a director, that what I do and what every other director pretty much does on whatever project they give.
Yeah. So, okay, no, that's perfect. And I think that really kind of helps us, helps any audience member kind of get an idea of what the role of the director and where they fit in the whole operation. Pretty good, eh? As I said before, later this week, I will get out part 2. So you're going to want to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. As well, Jim and I will be live streaming on 9:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Universal Time Code offset -5, on Monday, August 10th. And we're going to be overanalyzing Eddie Murphy's Netflix original, Dolomite Is My Name. So again, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Don't forget to like. I'm thinking that's about it. Time to cue the outro.
I've been in New Orleans. I know my dreams are sure. I've never been so close.
Next, third. 1, 2, 3.